Have you ever wondered how to get your garden to look amazing and also to make the best compost that you can? Well, I'm going to show you how you can get all that started for free. And all you have to do is like this video and subscribe to our channel. And we're still doing a 1 pound of red wigglers giveaway to anyone that likes, subscribes, and turns the notification bells on. So you do have to do all three, and you'll be entered to win. And also drop us a comment down below saying how you got into gardening or worm composting, or how you heard about even fishing, or the first time you went fishing. So I think those would be some pretty good stories to read through. Or if you don't feel like sharing that, share a story of how your parents or grandparents gardened. And that would be good for everybody, I think, to learn how it was done back in the day. So with that being said, we'll get back into the garden tour. Now we'll go into the garden tour, and we're in Alabama and it's May 15th in this video. So we are pretty early on in the growing season, but our lime trees and the citrus trees are really showing out and throwing us some limes, and we're really grateful for that because they are the best tasting limes that I've ever tried. And then here we are in our raised bed where we have a mix of tomatillos, peas, and rhubarb, with even garlic and onions thrown in there, and a pumpkin. So a little bit of everything, but a good biodiverse garden is actually beneficial to you. That way you don't have a full row of one thing and then pests can come in and wipe out the whole row. So by mixing it up, you have less chance of it all failing. And speaking of health benefits and being good for you, gardening is one of the ways to get you back in touch with Mother Nature and also being more appreciative of the land you have and the fact that it's not just a front yard with your grass, it's actually where food comes from, and where food is your medicine and medicine's your food. And we're strong believers in that you can't be healthy without a healthy diet. And not only that, when you're out in the garden, it is, in our opinion, the most beautiful thing you can look at, especially when they start throwing their flowers and go into seed. And who doesn't like to look at pretty flowers, even if it is just a vegetable flower? It is the prettiest thing it could throw to say, hey, we're going to seed and don't cut us down. So, and also a great way to get a little bit of light exercise. No matter how old you are or young you are, you always got enough to go out to the garden and walk around and get a little bit of light exercise. And speaking of exercise, anybody could go and buy thousands of dollars worth of gym equipment and go to the gym every day. But in my opinion, that's a waste of opportunity on not only the food you ate to have the calories to burn in the gym, but if you would have spent those calories working towards growing your own food, you would be a lot better off, and there would actually be a solid reason besides the health benefits of working out, and that would be to make your yard look better, make the world a better place, also keeping your family better and or healthier and you healthier. And on top of that, you're getting some fresh air, because a lot of people in their houses you can have different types of illnesses just because the house didn't have fresh air and it stagnated bad air quality in your house. So just by going outside, even if it's 30 minutes a day, that's 30 minutes of fresh air for your lungs. So with all that being said, everything that you see, whether it's a tree or a vegetable or fruit, we grew it all with worm castings and with our own potting mix that we make and sell on our website. And so there's nothing here that isn't available to you if you wanted it. And also this thing with the big leaf is rhubarb, and this is like a 2-year-old plant, and we haven't got to try it yet. So we're pretty excited about the rhubarb. And speaking of worm castings, we took numerous whole pumpkins and watermelons and you name it, vegetable and fruit, we put into our compost. And if you're going to grow a pumpkin, it probably takes a pumpkin going into the compost pile to be able to grow a new pumpkin. So if you're not composting, and especially if you're not composting with worms, I do believe you're missing out on a part of the puzzle piece on growing fresh vegetables and living your best life that you can, and just living in a more beautiful world. So then we'll move on to connecting with nature. And if you're not outside looking at the pretty flowers, you would have never seen the moth pollinating the onion seeds. So there's a lot to be said there, and I'm sure your dogs or cats would love to go on a nature walk with you, and so they can look at the pretty birds and just everything that's going on outside. And then when you do plant a biodiverse garden, you're going to naturally bring in new pollinators and new bugs and critters to entertain you and your pets. So there's really nothing that can, no downsides to planting a garden. Also, when the plants start coming in and you can really see that you did something, there's nothing quite rewarding after a long, hard day's work to look back and sit down and drink you some good sweet tea and just really enjoy all the hard work you've done, because nothing feels good if you didn't work hard for it, and the harder you work for it, the more you'll be grateful for it. Another solid point on why you'd want to do a garden would be to have vegetables and fruits that you know are going to be in the store, because a lot of different varieties, and maybe it's not a popular fruit or vegetable in your area, you won't even see it even at the fanciest of grocery stores. So that's another solid point on why to do it yourself. And then on top of that, you'll know that the vegetable is taken care of to the best of your abilities. And if you took care of your compost back 3 months ago, the compost you're putting on it, you'll know exactly what's going into that plant to then grow the nice cucumber that you're waiting for. Because it's just like anything, if you let somebody else do it, they're not going to do it the way you would have done it. And when you get that end product, which would be the cucumber, you will be able to tell that there's certain flaws just based off no one did it the right way, how you wanted to do it. And there's a ladybug right there, and ladybugs eat aphids, and the aphids attack your plants. So a nice healthy biodiverse garden will have the beneficial pests and the not beneficial pests, so having more is always a good thing. Another great reason to garden would be to have an abundance of fruits and vegetables that you can then share with your close friends and family, or even your community if you're really big timing with it. But in our opinion, there's nothing more important than friends and family, and to make sure that they're getting the nutrition they need and fresh, healthy vegetables that they need all year round, because most people only garden for a few months in the springtime, but our bodies need nutrition and healthy fruits and veggies fresh off the vine year round. So by getting your garden going and doing it to the best of your abilities, you're then going to be actually making your friends and family healthier. And then if you have enough, you can make your community healthier. And when everyone's healthier, they're smarter people. They make better decisions. And then once they get a taste for how good the vegetables are, they're then going to want to garden themselves. Even people that weren't initially interested in gardening or think it's a lot of work. Another great reason to garden is you'll be more connected to the weather that's outside and the way the seasons change. For example, if you have a garden and you know you're going to be watching the weather and it's going to rain 2 days from now, you'll hold off on watering your garden, and if you time it right, you won't even use much water to water the garden. So, and then you're also going to be more aware of the seasons change, and just you'll be more in tune with nature. And the more you get in tune with nature, the happier and better off you'll be, because everyone's gone through life and worked 7-12-hour days for a couple weeks on end, and you don't even know who you are as a person. Where if you're out in the garden every day looking at the tomatoes and looking at the cucumbers growing slowly and watching the weather and everything else, you're going to be way more in tuned, way better mentally, and just a stronger, better creature, in my opinion. And if you're like me, I get bored pretty easy, so it takes a lot to keep me content. And just watching regular old movies and shows, or stuff that's on, let's just say, basic cable, there's not a lot of educational value there. So if you're like me and you get bored easy, there is infinite stuff to learn about the garden and composting, and it'll take you many, many years to master it, even if you're looking and learning into it every day. So, and there's not a lot of people that know about fruits and vegetables much past that's a corn plant or that's a strawberry. So by being in the know and educated about the fruits and vegetables, you can then share the wisdom with your friends and family. And when you go driving down the road and everybody's just like, oh, look at the trees, you're like, no, that's actually a strawberry plant, and dang, he's got potatoes too, and just stuff like that. So to me, it adds more to the conversation value you can have with people, and that's a lot right there. Not to mention the pretty flowers that smell good, like on a lemon or lime tree, to then give you some fresh essential oils every day. That's free of charge, comes with the limes as a bonus. So there's just infinite reasons to do it. And even just this cabbage, even when I planted it, I was like, okay, we're going to grow some cabbages. But until you actually see the cabbage start to make the cabbage, it makes you way more appreciative of a cabbage. So if you're making some coleslaw, you know what it took to get to the coleslaw, so then you are more appreciative and more grateful and thankful. So now I will give you guys a Bible verse, and it is, I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So neither he who plants nor he who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth. He who plants and he who waters are one, and each will receive his wages according to his labor. And that is 1 Corinthians 3:6-11. So I do believe that as humans, we are here to be caretakers of the earth and to look after the plants, the animals, the vegetables, and the trees. So I would just like to encourage everyone to, if you have a plant, whether it's your grass in your front lawn or you do have some fruit trees and a lettuce patch, to take care of it as if it was you are the lettuce, and to give it everything it needs, because we want everything we need. So in order for us to be a good person, we have to be good to the plants and animals. So, and the only way to do that is through composting and to recycle those food scraps and to take care of even the scraps of food will then lead you to having good vegetables. So not only are you going to be eating better, taking care of Mother Nature better, you will also be more prepared for holidays and events like Mother's Day that just happened. You would have already had your flowers ready to then go out for Mother's Day and to make your mom happy or your wife happy. And if your wife's happy, happy wife, happy life. So don't underestimate the power of saving those food scraps and composting to then have your wife a pretty flower. And because I've never seen a woman sad that just got handed a pretty flower or a nice potted plant with some pretty flowers in it. So, and then if you're a guy, well, we like flowers too, but spicy peppers might be the next best thing, or just having some good peppers to go along with our meals. So we always like to grow plenty of different varieties of peppers to then spice up the food and to get those good capsaicins in the spicy pepper, which are good for many things, including weight loss and stuff like that. So it's not just a pepper or a flower. There are health benefits that go along with it. And that's how we got into all this, aside from spicy peppers, like I've mentioned in prior videos. I actually got into gardening because I had arthritis in my hands from doing a lot of construction work and welding. So we then ended up trying to go to the doctor and getting shots and stuff like that for the pain, where, you know, that was really just putting a band-aid on the problem at whole, which was my microbiome wasn't right because I wasn't eating how I should have been eating. I was eating a lot of fast food and junk food and just highly processed stuff out of a can, and we were not growing any type of fresh vegetables. And my life as a whole, even though I thought I had it together and I was working a lot of hours and doing everything how they tell you to and saving money and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to go to work to make that money if you're not healthy. So by putting in the work and paying it forward and getting the garden set up, I've never been healthier. I haven't even sneezed hard in about 2 months. So, and I'll knock on wood for that. And it's not just a one-off. Also, my wife, she's saying she's never been healthier. And I would just like to give thanks to the worms and the garden and everything that's helped along the way. Also, a huge shout out and thank you to all the supporters out there that have bought worms and the potting mix and our worm bin starter kit to support me on our journey to be able to sustain this YouTube channel and to keep the wisdom coming and the good content for you guys who enjoy the types of things that we do, because without you guys subscribing and watching the videos, I might have already gave up. But you guys that really like this stuff, huge shout out to you. You've made basically all aspects of my life better, and thank you so much. So we've covered a lot. I would also like to get back to the flavor of the vegetables. It's almost like eating a tomato without any salt or pepper versus a tomato that's salt and peppered on mayonnaise on a sandwich with bread is like the taste difference that we get off our vegetables. And we've been gardening for a few years now, and the flavor profile versus something that's just put in the ground versus a plant that's put in the ground with worm castings is almost night and day as well. So it's just like 2 tiers above what's available at the store, just because food grown in worm compost, I do believe, is not something well known or talked about or people even know. So if you do have worms and you do have a compost bin, just try to take care of it the best you can, because everything you put into there is then going to be broke down into finer particles, then to even smaller particles, and then mixed into the water that the plant then takes up. So just take care of it as you would anything else to the best of your abilities, and get ready for some of the best tasting food and vegetables that money can't buy, really. I mean, you have to know about a lot of things to get to this point. And even if you drive down the road and you see these huge 1,000-acre farms, you just already know it is a real slim chance that they're growing the quality that we are with the castings, because it would be super expensive to spread out worm castings onto a 1,000-acre field. So just know how precious the compost is and how precious taking care of the seeds are, or the plant transplants that you got from the store if you didn't have time to start from seed. But we start everything from seed, and we do it ourselves the whole way through to ensure that nothing along the way is not the way we want it, because we want to make sure everything throughout the process of growing that food is done right. That way we can be healthy humans that don't get sick, and at the same time just making everything work together better. So with all that being said, I would like you guys to take it serious, and if you're new into gardening and worms, you could check out our website where we have some of the best red wigglers for sale, and everything you see is grown in our compost and in our dirt from the worms that we sell. So there's nothing on our website that you can't buy into this and then have your own fresh fruit and veggies. Even if you're like, well, I don't have enough to buy 10 pounds of worms and do a big compost bin. You could, just buy the potting mix that we sell and do a small raised pot where you could have one tomato plant that'll produce, and you'll get to experience the great flavors that we talk about. And also, if you have seen our website, we are a little pricey on our worms that we sell, but that's because there's one species of worm in there, and it creates worm castings faster, and it's easier on the eyes to look at just one species. Also, the worms that you buy from us are, in our opinion, taken care of better than other worms, and they're ready to produce for you faster and make more worms so you can have more vegetables and you can be a happier, healthier person, and the plants can be happier and healthier. And with all that being said, thank you guys so much, and absolute legends for staying till the end. I hope you guys win the free pound of worms, and check out our website and get you some worms and accessories. Thank you.